Okay, so we're not going to have loads of time to look at the structure, but as I said at the start, that doesn't matter because you've got slides and your homework is to look seriously at the structure. Most important thing to say is that you don't need to keep these numbers 1, 2, 3. That's not me saying you have to have different headings for them or different paragraphs for them or something. It can all be in one go without any subheadings. But this is the order that makes sense. And I think when you're planning, it makes sense in your head and when you're going through an argument to have it in some kind of order, because it also means in the introduction, you can tell people what you're doing. You can say, first of all, we're going to look at some answers that people have given to this question, which is like a literature review. And then I'm going to examine the counter argument to my view, present the evidence for it. And then I'm going to engage with the counter argument and show that the evidence perhaps is not very strong, or I'm going to show that my argument has better evidence or is a better conclusion, whatever it might be. And then I'm going to conclude. And then you do it. And therefore, it's like, we call it signposting. It's like giving someone directions. An example I like to use is if you booked to go on a tour of the City of London, for instance, and they said the tour's going to last 6 hours, you'd probably want to know what was going on. You probably wouldn't want to just turn up and pay to go on it if you had no idea if you were going to spend 6 hours in just the centre of London in a few places, or if you're going to get on a bus and if you're going to go around the outskirts, or you're going to see different parts. People often quite like to know where they're going, and it helps them understand a lot more why they're reading something. Because if you don't tell people, okay, we're going to see some answers that other people have given, then I'm going to examine the counter argument, and then my argument, and then we'll conclude. If people don't know that's what you're doing, then they might be reading your third part here, the counter argument. They might think it's your argument because you haven't told them that you're just taking this argument seriously first. Okay, so in the introduction, you'll see here, quickly outline the structure. That's where you signpost. You tell people what you're going to do. So if it was a tour, you'd say, first, we're going to take a look at the Tower of London. Then I'll take you to the Houses of Parliament. And then we're going to go quite far south. We're going to go down to Brixton. And then we're going to go to the east. You know, you tell people where they're going so they know where they are. Okay, so have a look at this for your homework. Possible responses. What are the answers? When is X X? So compliance is complicity when certain conditions exist. Yeah, when the person is aware what they're doing. Or you could say compliance is never the same as complicity. Compliance just never, they're never the same thing. Quite a hard one to argue, but you could. Or you could say compliance is always complicity. They're the same thing, not just sometimes, but if you comply, you are responsible for it in some way. Okay. Argument 1 is the most common one. Okay. I wouldn't question the question too much. I wouldn't spend like half the essay talking about definitions unless you really need to, unless it's really important. So let's say you take answer 1. Compliance is complicity when what? What can the conditions be? So in these situations, someone compliant would be also complicit. Or when this person has these views or these intentions. So if someone's compliant, but they don't mean to be, then they're not complicit. But if someone's compliant and they really mean to be compliant, they want to be compliant, then they're complicit, for instance. Different states of awareness. So we've talked a lot about this. If you know you're complying and if you know that the thing you're complying with is wrong, then you're probably complicit. But if you don't know that you're complying with something wrong, then maybe you're not.